Good morning. It is 6:39 a.m. on today's Wednesday. Yeah, I don't know why that stuck on me for a second. Wednesday, April 24th, 2019. I am Christiana Ellis, and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. This is midway through my last week here in South Korea for this trip anyway. And so I'm starting to think about, going home, which is nice. Like, I don't dislike it here, but it's just nice to be home, instead of away from home for a long time. So looking forward to that. Hello, Nobilis. I am up a little bit earlier than I would be because I woke up before my alarm in a really strange sort of series of dreams that I won't necessarily call a nightmare per se, but it was certainly disturbing, and it had something to do in the dream with the idea that I went to a KFC kind of casually, and there was something weird about the sauces that started to turn into some sort of Lovecraftian or Cronenbergian horror story where the sauces were somehow like became like I discovered something terrible and horrible about the sauces, and yet everyone around me was obsessed with them. And so like somehow I discovered that there was some horrible, unknowable, unexplainable truth about these sauces, and I was trying to tell people and yet it just seemed to make everybody else feel like, oh, well, I should go get some then. And I'm like, no, that's the opposite of what I'm saying. And it wasn't even like a standard narrative dream. What it was is me being half aware that it's a dream constantly, and kind of coming awake a little bit, but then going back into the dream, and this happening multiple times where I felt like I'm ready to move on from this, and then I'm back in it. And so after a certain point, I just kind of said, all right, I'm done with this, so I'm just going to get up. So I have no idea what brought that on. In fact, actually, the last time I even remember going to a Kentucky Fried Chicken was probably 6 or 7 years ago. And I recall my experience of that trip being, I haven't had KFC in a long time. Let's try that. And then I got some and I said, oh yeah, that's why. I don't want to be too hard on KFC, but certainly after not having it for a long time, my first experience tasting it again was like, oh, that's really salty. Anyway, the other thing I kind of had on my mind was that yesterday on Twitch, I decided to revisit an idea that I had had previously, but I'm thinking about bringing back, which is the idea of doing sort of maybe a weekly or semi-weekly character creation hour, just because creating characters for Dungeons and Dragons or other TTRPGs is just one of my favorite things to do. I just really enjoy that intersection of the mechanics and the creativity, storytelling aspects of it. And so that just feels it's like a fun sort of relaxing way to spend an hour. And it is also very much a thing that can be very collaborative if you have other people involved, and that can be fun just thinking about those things. And so I just streamed for an hour yesterday. Just built a character, and it was very funny that we kind of backed into making a character that's very much like a certain superhero without intending to, like not aiming for that, but sort of drawing inspiration from various sources until we realized, oh gosh, that is kind of exactly what we did, isn't it? But that was fun. So I'm going to go ahead and export that video to YouTube if you guys want to check it out. But I'm also just definitely thinking about doing more of that in the future. like maybe figuring out some regular time to do that and just having that be a thing. And you know, that'll be something where like people can, you know, participate, make characters of their own, or just, you know, offer suggestions or thoughts about whatever one I'm making. Maybe sometimes we do other games instead of Dungeons and Dragons and so on. But you know, that's just kind of thought. Oh yeah, Nobilis likes it. Thank you. And so I'm definitely thinking I'll do more of that because that was kind of fun. Last but not least today, I want to just go ahead and give a shout out to Film Crit Hulk is someone who, like, the name, if you're not already familiar, sounds unusual, but it's someone on Twitter who does a lot of writing about film and TV and video games and so on. And they're, you know, sort of their online persona used to be this idea that they write very smart, thoughtful essays, and they do it all in caps, like it's a gag about being Hulk, right? Like now they've long since given up the all caps idea just because it's funny for about 3 paragraphs, and then you just want it to be regular. So they kind of just moved on from that. But they're very smart. I love their writing in general, but they had brewing for a long time. They had mentioned it, you know, off and on, an essay about Red Dead Redemption 2. And that essay is now up at polygon.com, and I recommend that you go check it out. It is long, but I think it says there are a lot of really smart things. And it sums up something that I very much agree with, which is to say Red Dead Redemption 2, in terms of its storytelling, has some incredible highs, but that even those highs are kind of kneecapped in several ways by other aspects of the storytelling and a game control, like game design and control approach that is backwards and wrong-headed. And so he and I ended up in about the same place, which is to say, in sum total, we like the game, but it sure has a lot of things that would, if they were different, we would like it more. It has very great, incredible things about it, and then also lots of backwards, frustrating, annoying things. Anyway, that's kind of where I'm at this morning. And oh, we got another new person. Sarah joined just as I'm finishing up, but welcome anyway. And I'm going to go ahead and finish getting ready for work. And it turns out I get to go see Avengers Endgame tonight for me. So after work today for me, I'll get to see it. And so hopefully I can avoid spoilers until then. And now, of course, we have everybody joining just as I finish these videos, which has started to become the norm because, of course, nobody, like this interface is not designed for people to necessarily join immediately all the time. But anyway, so I gotta go get ready for work for now, but I'll talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes, and probably I'll be doing a spoiler-free review of Avengers Endgame. All right.